Welcome to Bring Out Your Badass Self, a movement to break your negative thoughts and habits and instead focus on building each other up and encouraging fearless authenticity.
Each week, we will get vulnerable and share experiences alongside our guests and audience. Come rediscover your inner badass self.
Good morning, good morning.
Aw, good morning. How sweet. I love it.
How are you doing this morning?
I am well. I am doing very well.
You doing well? Are you ready to shoot the shit today?
I'm ready to shoot the shit. I'm so ready. I can't wait to hear all of your shit.
I got a lot of shit going on. Yep.
Yes, so do I. Let's shoot it.
So I gotta tell you, it's been so hard to not talk to Cate this week and talk about the things we were going to talk about on the Friday call. Even I was stopping her. I was like, "Don't talk about that. Isn't that what you're going? Are you going to talk about that on Friday? Like, don't talk about that."
Yeah, we wanted each other's like real reactions, which
Exactly.
is awesome, right? It's so, we didn't want it to be like, contrived, but
Exactly.
it was really hard to not tell you about it.
I know.
Or to not be like,
exactly.
what is going on?
I know. She would ask me, and I was like, "I can't talk to you about that."
Yes. Yeah.
So-
I said yesterday, I'm like, where have you been?
I know. Cate and I just love shooting the shit just in general in our real
Right.
lives. And
Right.
so a lot of times we're like, guess what's going on or things like that. And so,
Yes.
so I thought it would be an interesting show just to see how it is that Cate and I talk to each other and just the raw, unfiltered nature of it all.
Yep. That's what I was thinking too. It's totally, I think it's going to be great. We're going to have a good time today.
I think so too. I do have a LinkedIn user. So just so you know, if you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, you can then quickly give it permission. So I know who you are. They said you make me smile. And so that's so
Yes.
sweet. And so thank you,
Thank
whoever
you.
that is. And then Kim says, "Good morning, you beautiful badasses."
Good morning,
Awesome.
Kim. Oh, my friend Debbie. Hi, Debbie. So good to see you.
She said first episode this morning. Is she going to multiple
Yes.
episodes or different shows?
I know. I think this is her first time here.
Oh, well, for
Mhm.
those that are first to
Yes.
come with us. So if you're new to Boy Bass, include a white heart in the comments just to let us know that you are a new person joining us. And so be sure to include that so we know to send you some special love and so our other badasses know to say hello to you as well.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. And so, Cate, one thing I first want to bring up is this weekend is Father's Day. And I know that we had Mother's Day, several, months ago and now, or I guess month ago. And so we have Father's Day coming up this weekend. And so I'm curious, being of two mothers, do you celebrate on Mother's Day or do you split it out?
Well, we've actually done a few things over the years. We have settled on celebrating just Mother's Day. We usually celebrated Jenna's dad. This is our first Father's Day without him. And then we celebrate my dad. So that will continue, I'm sure. But I'm not like a huge present person. Like I don't have, I'm just not like, I don't collect things. I don't know. I like kitchen tools, but people are always like, yeah, I don't want to give you a spatula. I'm like, but I really want the spatula. And they're like, yeah, I don't want to get you a spatula. I'm like, fine, I'll buy myself a spatula. So, like they usually, like, they always complain that they're, I'm so hard to buy gifts for. So, and I also like, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that people enjoy these special days, but like they don't, I don't know. I don't want to sound like a naysayer or like a, like like a Grinch, right? I mean, I don't want to be a Mother's Day Grinch, but it usually doesn't like mean that much to me.
Yeah.
So we usually celebrate Jenna. And in the beginning of like, 15, 14 years ago, everybody was like super uncomfortable with that. So then they would try to celebrate me on Father's Day and then, or like also, and it just got to the point where they realized, you know what, she really doesn't care. And she's happy and let's just let's just celebrate. Because like, I don't know. I'd be interested to know, like, I know Debbie's a part of a same-sex family.
Mhm.
I feel like a mom, but I don't feel like the mom. I am
Oh.
not the mom in this family. If you get hurt, you go to Jenna. If you if you want to be fed, you go to Jenna. Like she's the nurturer. Not that I won't feed you, but like, that's just the role that she plays in our family.
I gotcha.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
what are you guys doing for Jay?
Well, so Jay always does a Father's Day golfing outing. Um,
Okay.
but this year it's messed up a little bit because Gavin has
Okay.
baseball. So I'm not sure
Oh.
what he's going to do. But one of the things that I got the Facebook memory that came up this morning, and it ended up saying basically I asked our kids, and so we have a blended family. I have 2 bonus
Mhm.
kids and then Riley, who is jointly ours. I asked them to express their how, the things that they loved about dad. And I just really loved it. I loved reading back on all the things that they said. And it
Mhm.
really just sort of reminded me one of the things that I find interesting, and I think this is pointed out by a fact that I was given by the massage person that I went to. He said, well, he goes, last year, Mother's Day sold 10,000 gift cards. Father's Day, just guess. How many gift cards, how much dollar wise, how many gift cards do you think Father's Day sold?
I don't know. I mean, less, right? Like 5,000?
$800. And so I was like, "Whoa, okay." I'm like, maybe they, I guess people maybe they're doing more in sports, they're going more, for like Jay, it would be golf versus a massage.
Right.
So it's just reflective.
Sleep
It
part,
made it
right.
made it an interesting. I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And
Mhm.
so, but
Totally.
but I think that a lot of times Mother's Day, it's very well just honored. They actually say that it is the day that that there are the least amount of crimes. And jokingly they said, oh well, I guess all the moms aren't committing any crimes. And I it wasn't really what I think the correlation was, but but I think Father's Day sometimes is just very much overlooked. Like we appreciate dad, and someone else posted something. It was like, hey, for Mother's Day, we're going to give you a $5,000 necklace. Hey, guys, hey, fathers, we're going to give you an $8 cargo shorts. So I just found that sort of interesting, that I don't think that we really appreciate dads as much as we should, for all of the amazing things that they do to keep things together, to keep things going in the household, and the hard work that they do. So I just wanted
Yes.
to give a shout out to all of the fathers out there, and the dads that are representing, that aren't, the because there's all kinds of dads out there. They can be
Mhm.
biological, they can be not biological. I still consider my uncle, sort of a dad figure as well.
Yeah.
And so, Jay, one of my bonus kids, he's actually biologically not her dad. But
Right.
he has continued to represent and be dad because she didn't have that. And so I think that it's very admirable. Uh,
Yeah.
and and I just wanted to give a shout out to all the dads, and thank you for everything that you do for us.
Aw, that's lovely.
Well,
I dig it. I
I
mean, my
love
dad
that.
is my best friend, you know that. It's like, so, you know, we got to celebrate him in one way or another, but he's just like me. I mean, the apple didn't fall far from the tree. He's like, uh, I guess, you can cook me something, but you're going to
Yeah,
clean it up too. Like, that's his, yeah,
exactly.
right.
Please.
Yeah, right. And are you gonna clean it to my standard? That's
Yeah.
but so this year we came up with a great idea. Jen and I sometimes just he lives around the corner. So, you know, we are so close to him, but we still, because we're fairly integrated, sometimes we don't like sit down and just chat, right? So we stop by sometimes, maybe like once a month, and we just like shoot the shit, and just catch each other up on everything. And although he and I talk almost daily anyway, you know, um, it's just a really good time to kind of connect, and especially without the kids around. This last time we did this, we started talking about supper clubs. The three of us all have a love for supper clubs. Supper clubs. Do they have supper clubs by you? Are they called supper
No.
clubs?
What
Okay.
what is
Okay.
it?
So a supper club is, I think it's a Wisconsin, maybe Midwest thing, but it is like a supper club is very meat focused. You go there and you have a steak, maybe a fish fry. It's very, very meat heavy, but it's kind of like old schoolish, where you get there and um, you have some cheese spread. You have like very specific types of little appetizers. Um, uh, Supper clubs and old fashions, brandy old fashions or bourbon old fashions, like
Yeah.
go together very well here in Wisconsin. And so there are literally hundreds of supper clubs in the state, and it's a kind of a thing to like try to hit them all, or go to them, and they're awesome. So there's this very cool supper club in Wisconsin Dells, and we brought Bob there, Jenna's dad, last spring, and or the spring before, maybe. I don't recall exactly which spring we brought him there, but he loved it. It was one of the highlights of his last year alive. Like, it was, he just had a blast. And but my dad hasn't been there, so we're gonna take him, and it'll kind of be like we're remembering Bob and celebrating my dad. So it'll be really
Yeah.
kind of cool for Jenna
Well,
and me.
nice.
So
And
plus the
so
food is kick ass.
yeah, so is it just a place? I'm still confused on, is it a place or is it like a person that hosts?
It's a restaurant, but they're
Okay.
only open for dinner typically. They often have a salad bar. They start early, like
Okay.
4 o'clock. And it's kind of like you go to a summer club, and you can get like steak. You can
Oh,
get like um a couple of fish, might some seafood. They will have like a surf and turf, but it isn't like, there's a ton of things on the menu. It's just really those items,
yeah.
a salad bar sometimes, and very specific types of appetizers like cheese spread and crackers, and then drinks, like,
Interesting.
because in Wisconsin you got to drink all the time. So that's what it is. It's not, typically they're not open for lunch.
Mhm.
They're not, and they'll have like maybe a fish fry special on Fridays, and then like a prime rib special on Saturdays. It's like pretty standard. Like, you
I
go,
gotcha.
yeah. And then you just kind of, you can go to, so it's like, I don't know, it's like a burger shop, but it's like a steakhouse, but it's a supper club.
It sounds good. I wish we had one
Yeah.
down here.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I wanna point out a couple of people that have come in. So, good
Yes.
morning, Renee.
Good
And
morning, Renee.
my mom said, "Buy him a tie." Yeah, I'm sure he'll just love a tie. Another Facebook user, so can't say your name. If you can go to streamyard.com/Facebook just to give it authorization. And Debbie gave us the white heart. She is a new person, so everybody be sure to give her some love. And she's coming in on LinkedIn. And then Bruce is joining us today. He said, "Bring out your badass self."
Badass self. Yes. Thank you, Bruce.
Yeah. All right. So let's
Okay.
jump
Shoot the
into,
shit.
yeah, let's shoot the shit. Some of the things that are going on this week.
Yeah.
If I can, I'd like to go first.
Go for it.
Okay. So I briefly mentioned on one of our previous episodes that my husband and I were talking about fear, which was one of our previous shows, I think our last show, and they get all mixed up on which one it was.
Right.
But we were talking about fear, and one of the things that we decided to do, because recently we have been like bickering a little bit more, and so I said to him, I said, I really think that we should go to a communication coach to go talk to someone. And we did. So we went to our first session with this person. She's not too far. We went to her house, and it was a really good session. Most of it was her explaining different things related to men and women. And me, I'm like, you might be surprised. Like, I felt like I was going to maybe fall more on the men's side. And in some ways I did. But it was interesting. So I felt like I wanted to share some of the things that I learned from this first session.
Yeah. Lay it on me.
Yeah. So one of the first things, or one of the things she talked about was called the 4 horsemen. So it's more of an evaluation. Are you familiar with that? Okay.
I am very familiar with it. I love, what is his name?
Yes.
I'm going to, Gottman.
Yes,
his last name is Gottman.
That's correct.
He's from the Pacific Northwest, and they have this hotbed of psychology and stuff at the University of Washington, and he's there, and he's amazing, and you should watch YouTube videos of him.
I have seen him. And so when she said his name, I was like, oh yeah, I know that guy.
He's very funny too.
But I didn't realize, that it was related to him. And so the 4 horsemen are basically an evaluation to determine whether you are potentially on the verge of divorce.
Yes.
And so this is sort of to see, like, where does your relationship sort of fall? The first one had to do with criticism. Like, are you constantly attacking the character of your partner? And both of us were like, no.
Yeah.
So like, no, that doesn't apply to us. And then the next one was criticism. So attacking, or disrespecting or talking down to the other person. And both of us looked at each other and were like, no. And so, but we were like, we know some former friends that fall into both of these categories. And that's one of the reasons we decided not to be friends, like close friends with them and do things, because they were constantly going at each other. And we found, it's interesting. My other friend that I went out with last night, we were talking about this, and we said, who you surround yourself with sometimes starts to wear off. And that's why we sort of detached, because we were like, this is just not healthy. And we just didn't want to be around that toxicity of that type of mentality. And I hate that for those individuals, but for our own sanity, we had to sort of separate ways. And so the third one was defensiveness. And my husband immediately raised his hand.
Oh, Jay, I love it. He was like, yup. Raised his hand as in, that's me.
And so defensiveness is explaining why you did what you did, or saying, I know I'll never be good enough, or I don't need this, or they don't listen for the thing. And then related to that, so he is very, whenever I say things, he applies meaning to it that I'm not saying to him. And sometimes he will be, and I shared the fear that he had, is that he's fearful that I'll leave him. And really that boils down to the fact that he had 2 failed relationships. So one ending in divorce, one where he didn't marry. And so it's still that negativity from those previous ones. So no matter what I do, sometimes he still feels that way. And so one of the things she gave me as a suggestion is to say, don't listen for the things I'm not saying.
So I love that.
I loved it. I was like, don't listen for the things I'm not saying. So I'm not saying that. Basically, you're hearing something I'm not saying. And so don't listen for the things I'm not saying. I was like, and Jay really liked that too.
Yeah, totally. Because there's an inner critical voice. There's some other shit going on, right? that isn't really what's happening. It's a fear,
Yeah.
right? That's getting in the
Exactly.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he clearly owns it,
He did.
right?
Yeah.
He owns it. He knows it. He doesn't want to fucking feel that way,
No.
right? He doesn't
Yeah.
want to feel like, oh shit, she's, like that's not a comfortable, happy feeling for him.
Yeah.
If he could perceive what you're saying differently, he would be probably a lot happier. This is amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Don't listen for what I'm not saying.
Don't listen, yeah, for the things I'm not saying. Yeah, exactly. And so it was
Okay,
interesting,
cool.
like, she saw that we were actually very loving with each other. Like, I compliment Jay all the time. He's like, you don't do anything that makes me feel like I'm not competent, which is one of the things when she talked about men and women and how they do things a little bit differently. Men need to see themselves as competent. Their fear is failure of not measuring up, and they need
Mm,
to succeed, and they need to
yeah.
feel honored and respected. And so when he hears these things that are really about his past, in what it is that I'm saying, I'm trying to just communicate with him about our current, whatever it is that we're arguing about or things like that. He's applying meeting. So we figured that out. So we figured out a
Okay.
way for me to also tell him, basically, don't be defensive without saying don't be defensive. Like, I'm
And
not
was
saying those things.
that session 1? You already like
That's
figured that
section
out.
one. Yeah.
First session.
First
Yeah.
session.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the
Nice.
fourth one, so the four horsemen is stonewalling. And I
Yeah.
immediately raised my hand. And so I get to a point where I shut down. Like, I'm like, yep. And it's actually a flight. She said
Yeah.
it's not a freeze, it's actually a flight fear. And so I get to a point because I also know that I'm about to explode. Like, you're about to ignite some fire here, and you don't want that.
Shit's about to get real.
Exactly. And so I start to stonewall and I literally shut down. But she talked to
Uh-huh.
us about, flooding. And I thought the interesting part is she said men are more emotional than women.
Hmm.
And I was like,
I
okay.
actually have always kind of thought that.
And I was like, okay, please explain. And so she said that men are built that way because they, in the cave days, whenever it goes back to those times, they're supposed to be on high alert of protecting, whatever it is
Ah.
that's going on. So they're meant to rise in their emotions and their feelings because they're immediately thinking about protecting, not only
Uh-huh.
protecting themselves, but protecting others. So they're actually designed to flood or to become more a feeling of emotions quicker because it's meant to protect. And so where
Wow.
women take a little bit longer, but once they start, watch out. But she
Yeah.
also said the other thing about women is that, I'm trying to remember. She said, so I have to pull this up. She said, "Oh my God, I need my husband to hear this." And so,
Yes.
women are really good with memories, and the reason
Mm.
that they have good memories is because they were supposed to remember which berry was poisonous, or where it is that
Uh,
we needed to go. So that's why when we fight, we can remember a shitload of stuff from all of the past.
let
And
me bring my Rolodex out.
exactly. Like, you remember this time? It was on this date. It's like all of a sudden we become Sheldon off of the Big Bang Theory and we have like this photographic memory of
Yes.
things. And so it was interesting. And so the other thing that I learned was called the FAR response. And so it is, I always knew to do I feel, but what she
Right.
helped me sort of connect is that sometimes us women will be like, here's the problem. Oh yeah, and here's the problem. Oh yeah, and here's the problem. And we
And
just keep like nitpicking at our guys and saying, just going from, the one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. What she suggested is that tell them how you feel. Like, I feel frustrated when this happens. What I'm requesting is that uh if you run into this situation again, can you do XYZ? So I'm asking one request. That's it. This time I'm doing one request. If I need to do another request, I need to wait until another time. But just focus on, and so Jay and I started doing that. We were even having instances where it was like related to work. And I was like, what if you did the FAR approach? So I started talking to him. He was like, that's interesting. And so it started to just make us think a little bit differently. And also, as we're starting to get flooded, she's like, if someone calls a timeout, call a timeout and say, hey, this is when we'll meet back again, and we're not going to let it get out. If you feel like it's starting to get out of hand, then call a timeout. We haven't had to do that. But it was a really great session to just go through. And the thing that I loved is that she said that most people that come to her are like all four horsemen, just at dire straits in the relationship.
Like, so close to divorce.
Yeah, she said, I really love the fact that you guys are not even there. Like, I can see very much you guys love each other, you care for each other, but you're figuring out, what it is that you can continue to do. I know for Sarah, she said, for me, that you want to feel like you're continuing to grow with your spouse.
Right.
And so I really appreciated that he always goes to these things. He goes a little unwilling, but he always ends up learning so much. And I learned a lot as well. And that's what I kept telling him is it's not just about you. Like he thinks that I'm blaming, like he blaming him because that's what he's hearing in his head. And I'm like, no, it's also me understanding how I can also better communicate to you related to things that I know might potentially trigger you or things like that. So I just wanted to share that. That was a lot of information.
Totally. Well, I'm so glad you did. I totally resonate with Jay, like, and in a lot of ways, right? I have, but I also I can see that in my relationship with Jenna in some ways too, like it is really hard to let go of that inner critical voice and that fear sometimes and to not hear, so I think we both, for Jenna and I, we both have issues with hearing things that the other person isn't saying, at all. I love Gottman. I love the Four Horsemen. Leslie, just watch some of the videos. They're very entertaining. You can go to YouTube. It's like part 1, part 2 of the Four Horsemen, and he explains it, and it's fun to watch. And I think your husband would even enjoy it if you could stick it out. But they're like 10-minute videos. They're not like super long.
Yeah. So I'm going to pull up Debbie. I don't know what her comment says. She says, agree. I often ask my wife to listen to what I'm saying, not to what she is hearing. She often asks me to simply answer her questions without adding what I think she wants to know.
Yes. So smart. I love that. And like, here's the thing, right? I think a lot of men, I do believe that they are more emotional. I really do. From raising both boys and girls and from being surrounded by men my entire life, because I had 3 brothers. I really do believe that I think men are more emotional in a lot of ways. It's so wonderful to hear though that it's from that like desire to protect, right? That makes so much sense to me. But I also feel like in some ways they don't want to like analyze or have rules for conversation, right? Like they're like, okay, can we just like talk? Can we, and I love that Jay willingly participated in this and is, on board with you. I mean, you guys have such a great relationship, and this will just make you even stronger.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, that's ultimately why would you want to go to things in a crisis? Like go whenever you're like, okay, we can tell. And Jay said it perfectly whenever he told her. He said, look, he said, originally we went to a weekend. It was the Imago basically learning about empathy and things like that.
I remember
years
him.
ago.
He told me about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And he talks to all of his guy friends like, oh yeah, you should totally do that. And he said, I just think we've gotten away from some of those things. But what I liked about this is the FAR approach. It's still acknowledging the feelings, but it's immediately getting to, here's my request. Here's what I would like, versus going through the, I can understand why you would feel that way. And and all of that.
Yeah.
And it helps Jay because it's like, okay, let's quickly get to the point because I want to get off this topic. I understand what it is you're saying, but it also allows him to move on. Okay, I can do that.
Right. And he wants to please you.
Yeah.
Like this is a common thing in my relationship with Jenna too. And it's something we've just realized over the past couple of years. I'm like, I need some fucking direction. Like I don't know what you want in this moment. Like I'm never intending to piss you off. Like, yeah, that's the worst. Like not only do I I don't want to piss you off because I love you so much. I want you to be happy, but I don't also, I don't want to piss you off because I don't like that makes things worse for me too. Like, so I love this, like, give me one thing to do, one thing to change. I can focus on that, and then, yeah, tomorrow I'll focus on the next thing.
Exactly. Just give me one thing. And that also helps Jay not to feel overwhelmed, because I think a lot of times what we do is we just continue to pile on the things, and then he's like, I don't know what I don't even know what to do at this point.
Right. And sometimes it is different stuff, right? So like from a woman's point of view, sometimes it's like Jenna will be like, well, in this instance, I want you to do this. And I'll be like, are you fucking serious? Like, I thought I was doing the right thing because you told me last week that that's how you wanted me to handle. And she's like, yeah, except this time I was venting. I'm like, well, how do I fucking know? Like, how I don't know the difference. And so, and instead of her carrying this, like, well, you should know we've been together for 17 years now. Do you not know? And I'm like, no, I really don't. I just want the direction. Just tell me how to make you happy and I will do it.
Tell me what to do in this moment. What do you want?
Yes.
That actually sounds like Jay. He's like, what do you want? I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Am I buying you another cat? I just like, tell me what it is. Or are we listening? It's like, that's the scale.
Yeah. So Leslie added, she said, James and I went to marriage boot camp a few years ago, 2 years worth of therapy in 3 days. It was exhausting, intense. But it saved me as a person and definitely saved our relationship. 10 out of 10, recommend it to any couple at any stage in their relationship.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you both for sharing, Debbie and Leslie. Like that's it's so helpful to hear these other
I love
things
it
from folks, and yeah, love it.
Absolutely. And I think that that's part of it, is that a lot of times people just feel like, oh, nobody, especially with social media these days, like you post the picture and, oh, they look so happy. And then you're like, whoa, how did I not know? I had this recently. I'm trying to remember who it was. And I was like, Jesus, I'm like, I didn't even know that you were going through this. And so it's like, we don't become real as well. And I think that that's also super important, is that, we all have the same type of challenges. And that's really what I've learned, is that everybody will go through these different things, but what are we doing to figure it out? How do we grow? How do we deal with things in order to continue to improve? Because we're, as we said from the beginning with this show, none of us are perfect, and we love showing the flaws or the vulnerability of things in our lives.
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's so validating, when you can see that not everyone else is perfect, and that as a rational person, we all know that. But like, it feels icky in some ways to be the first to say it sometimes, so you just shy away from that discomfort, but I have found over the years that I'm so much happier when I'm just me. When I just am like, no, that's not my struggle. That's my like just this week work wise, right? I screwed up a situation with a client. I they had come to me. I had some meetings with them. I thought I took decent notes. I didn't. Then I learned that I wasn't even supposed to have the meetings to begin with. I missed some direction on that. And then when I discovered that, when one of my colleagues was like, "Whoa, Cate, you weren't even supposed to be doing that." I then was like, "Oh, well, if they didn't want me to do it, I can push this off a little bit." And so then I started to procrastinate. And then I had to own up to all of it. I had to be like, "Guys, this is what happened," to my colleagues and to the client. Like this is how this went down and I am sorry. And no one came back and was like, "Well, what the hell were you thinking?" Or it was just like, "Okay, now we know this. How are we going to solve the next problem?" And
yeah.
And that's also how you build trust, right? Like you guys can trust that the majority of the time I'm not screwing things up like that, because the few times that I am, I'm willing to talk about it and tell you how it all happened. And then we problem solve it together.
Exactly. And I think that people actually learn the best through mistakes.
Yes.
And sometimes you got to leave the space for people to make those mistakes,
right?
And then just have the conversation. Okay, how could we have communicated better? How could we have maybe approached this differently if we were to run across this again? And so many times people are, I think sometimes the reason sometimes people are afraid to own up to things is also because they're not given that ability to make mistakes. So they're told, like you have to do all of these things. They're almost having to be perfect. And so I think giving your employees and giving yourself latitude to make mistakes is super important, and especially yourself.
Yeah. And I have found in sales, marketing, in consulting, when you were dealing with people, human to human interactions, and in your relationships, that it resonates more with people. People want to be dealing with a human, not a robot. They, at the end of the day, they're like, "Oh, okay, we're not that different." I screw things up too sometimes. So that always helps.
Yeah, absolutely. So Eric said he's sorry he's late. He said, "I'm late," but he didn't say sorry. He said, "I'm late."
Bad.
But here, good morning, or good badass morning.
Yes, that's what he always gives us. I kind of missed it. I was like, "Where's my good badass morning from?"
That's
Eric?
right. Welcome, Eric.
Welcome.
So glad you were able to make it. You missed a whole lot. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we've been shooting the shit, and
we have been.
You missed some fun stories.
So, but we have still some more. So there was something else that you said that made me think about, and I can't remember right now. It had to do with something that sort of went back to the session. I can't remember it now, and so if it comes back, I'll bring it up.
Yeah,
again.
Totally. Yeah, it will come back, I'm sure.
So one other thing, today, Friday, this is a special day, right?
Yes. This is a huge day for my family. So we're super excited for a couple of different reasons. So June 16th is our eldest son, Oscar's birthday.
Yay, happy birthday!
Yes. And today he is turning 18. And so it's huge. He's our first to turn 18. I'm only 43, so I don't feel ready. And he was so little once, so little. And now he's a grown ass man. He's huge, and he's covered in hair, and he's a man. And I don't know how it happened, right? I was there, but I wasn't. Anyway, so Oscar is 18. Now it's extra special and unique because Oscar hasn't been able to live with us for these past almost 2 years. So Oscar has always struggled with some mental health stuff. And as parents, we had tried and tried and tried so many different things to try to help.
Yeah.
And it was always ever present in our family. And it got to the point where he just needed some more intense therapy.
Yeah.
And so he went and lived in a residential therapeutic facility. And we've been on this journey with him. And it has been it's been like insane. I literally, like, we walked into this thinking there was just like a glimmer of hope, right? There was like a glimmer of hope that we could maybe fix him or make something work. Like we were just kind of, we were all broken. We were shattered.
Yeah.
We didn't want him to leave, but we knew he had to. Like we were at our wits' end as a family. And he's the eldest, so his 5 siblings were devastated. We were devastated. Um, I can tell you that now, 22 months later, I can't imagine us being in a better spot. Like
That's awesome.
I can't imagine. I'm gonna cry. I can't
I know, I
imagine
know.
that we got to where we got, and that it's been as amazing as it is. It's been super vulnerable. Jenna and I had to fucking bare our souls. We had to like rip out our guts and look at all of the way we parented, all of the ways that we all were together, and the dynamics, and
Yeah.
and really, like, and then expose ourselves to each other and rebuild this relationship. And we've come out on the other side, and this kid he's ready. He's been saving money. He's got almost $20,000 in the bank. He's been working
Nice.
his ass off of both his job and his therapy, and he's ready, and he's moving into an apartment, and it's all just amazing. I never thought we would get there. I never even thought he would leave our house until he was like in his 20s, like this is not at all what we pictured. Um, but this is amazing, and
Yeah.
so today we get to go pick him up and break him out and and start the rest of his life. And so I've been writing this letter to his therapist, pouring my heart and soul into it with Jenna. Jenna is right there with me. We've been talking about it for days. This is just such a huge day. We bought it's hard because like you can't give gifts, right? They're like doctors. So you can't like give them gifts, but I'm writing a letter, and I'm giving them a gift. We are giving them like a gift for all of them. We decided we're going to fill this with, we have M&Ms, but it just says, thank you, Oscar's thank you, comma, Oscar's family. It's just like a little key, like a little, candy gumball
That's
machine.
cute.
Yeah, but we thought we could put it in their staff room, and it's something they can
Yeah.
all access. But yeah, today's a day. We're leaving in like 45 minutes.
I know, I know. And so, I mean, one, happy birthday to Oscar. And so
Thank you.
Renee said, happy birthday as well. And she said, love you, Cate. I'm crying with you.
Thank you.
And so, it's sometimes we just have to, it goes back to sort of owning up to things. And sometimes it has nothing to do with us as well.
Right.
Sometimes it's the journey or the things that the other person is having to go through. And sometimes it's harder. For some people, it's can be more challenging, and
Mm-hmm.
for others. But I love that he has gotten there, and I hope that he's super proud, because that's a lot of work. 2 years of putting in, or 22 months of just putting in a lot of effort to really rediscover himself. And so I'm so happy for
He's
him.
Yeah, he's super proud. He's also a little terrified,
Yeah.
like, and rightly so, because
Yeah.
he's been in such a controlled, supportive environment. And we, the first year and a half was all about like the therapy, the evaluations, like figuring out what really was going on. We had so many misdiagnoses along the way,
Mm,
like really getting to the bottom of it and figuring out things. And then learning to like rebuild our relationships, with each other. And then these last 6 months have been about like getting him ready, getting him, like it became clear he didn't want to come back. It didn't feel like a fit for us either. Honestly, as hard, as weird as that also felt, because it didn't feel like who we are as a family.
yeah.
But to get him ready to be on his own, and he's there, he's secured the apartment, he's secured the job, he's, got all this stuff, and it's so weird and it's so cool all at the same time. So
yeah. I mean, having met Oscar, he's a super hard worker.
yes.
And I think that he has more capability than he probably even gives himself credit for. Like, I
Right.
saw how hard of a worker he really is. And so
Mhm.
I just hope, that this is maybe the beginning of a new journey for him. And yes, it's going to be scary, but it's
Mhm.
also understanding that you're going to have some ups and downs still along the way. But hopefully those 2 years have given him a lot of insight into how he can move forward whenever he starts to deal with any difficulty.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Without a
Yeah.
doubt. He's got a whole lot of skills in his tool belt now.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
and life will sure get lifey. I mean, there's, you know, there's no way around that. But,
Yeah.
it's all about how you react and handle things. So,
It
yeah.
is, which actually is sort of a lead into my other thing that I dealt with. It's
Yeah.
just a quick thing that I wanted to share. So I had a situation this week, and I'm going to leave out all the names and all of the overall details
To,
just to protect the innocent.
yeah.
But I had a situation where I have a relationship with a friend, and I had another individual that was basically judging me and attacking me based on my relationship with this other person.
Hmm.
And it
I'm
and a lot
sorry.
of it well, a lot of it it ended up boiling down to really the reason this person was attacking me is it had more to do with them.
Okay.
In
Right.
how they were feeling and things like that. But the main thing that I wanted to point out that I think that I did a really good job of is that I kept telling this person, look, my relationship with this other person is my business. Like, I don't really, if you feel like you need to judge me, that's your thing. Like, by all means, feel free to judge me on this. And and I told them a particular fact. I was like, this is not true. However, if you feel the need that you must feel this way, by all means, but I'm not going to go in a back and forth with you to defend myself because I know what's in my heart, and that's all that I
Mhm.
care about.
Right.
That's really all that matters. I don't need to justify myself to you. And this person kept coming at me, and then they started talking about themselves, and I was like, "Oh, this is really about this person and all the things that they've done for this person." And so we ended up, I was like, "Look, I'm not asking you for any information about what it is that you've done." And they were like, "No, I need for you to understand." I'm like, I don't need to know. Like this,
Right.
your relationship with this person is your relationship. My
Right.
relationship is my relationship. And so finally this person started, like, they apologized in the message, then started to, like, realize that some of the things they were saying were incorrect about me. And then we had, like, a whole different type of conversation, but it took this person like, I was just like, I kept putting up the boundary, like, nope, I'm not going there.
No, I'm not doing it.
I'm not going to agree to this drama. If you want to believe this, by all means, but I'm not going to get defensive because then I'm just falling into, what it is you want me to do. And so I just wanted to just mention that sometimes when people are arguing or trying to pull you into drama, ultimately within your heart where things are at. And it doesn't really matter, especially related to another relationship, where things are at. So,
Yeah. That's a great way to handle it.
yeah.
It's hard, right? When you're being
Yeah.
attacked to, like, remember your boundary, not to fight back or not to, fly, go, like, just see your way out of the situation either, right?
Yeah.
You know? So you did. That's awesome. I'm so glad you shared how you handle it.
Yeah. So someone said live connection stop. Maybe refresh. I don't know if others are having any issues. And I know, Kate, you have a hard stop today.
I
So
do.
yep. And so I had one other thing that I did also want to share that is good news.
Yeah.
We have a new employee that has started with us. And I got to tell you, you and I haven't chatted, but I'm
Well,
super
because that's
stoked.
one of the things you've been holding back from me.
I know. And so I'm super stoked about this new individual. And so just to sort of catch people up, I had a person that was in a position, a manager position, that ended up leaving. And we were all like really upset.
There were tears. There were
Yeah,
tears on both sides.
absolutely. And so, this person, it made me reflect. Like I was like, okay, what did I not do to keep this person with us? And I started to take it very personal. I was like, what did I miss? Or, just I started to sort of, and it wasn't I was getting negative on myself. It was like I was trying to reflect or reevaluate, is there something else I could have done? What I
You
ended
were
up
moved into problem solving mode because because that's what you do, right?
I know. And so, but it ended up that I helped this person grow, that they felt comfortable moving on. And sometimes that's what's going to happen in life, is that you have
Mhm.
helped, people grow to be able to move on. Same thing with Oscar. You're now, you've done, they've been doing the hard work, and now you're going to that next level. But I think
Yep.
that sometimes it's also because you also need to look at other things that might be an option. And so the new person that we have is amazing. Like I can already tell he's a super quick learner. He already has a lot of past experience with all of the products that we represent. He already has certain knowledge of all the different things that we do. And I can just tell that he's going to be quick to come up to speed. And I'm just super
Mhm.
excited. And so,
I am too. I am too. We've added some great people to our team
oh
over the
yeah,
past couple months, and I'm very thrilled.
yeah,
And I think this is the only management person we've added
yeah,
recently, and so it was a big decision, and he was replacing some pretty big shoes.
yeah.
So I'm thrilled about it as well, and have been enjoying the interactions I've had. Although we're letting them get settled. It's just the first week. So
Exactly.
we're
We'll throw everything on him the second week.
right. Yeah, exactly.
No,
Yeah.
and it is always funny though, because when we have our account management sales team, it's a group of women, and then you have this one man, and we have this with our former person as well. And so I was sitting there as we were saying hello to him, because we added yet another female as well on the BD side, and I was just looking, and I was like, oh man, poor guy.
Yeah, I know. I know. I love it though. I
I
love
do
it. I
too.
like it. Every time we have that meeting, I'm like, God, I could sit and talk to you guys the rest of the day. You know, it's great when you have such a great team, when you really enjoy what you do and you are
Yeah.
doing it with people that you enjoy. And that's the life.
Yeah. We also
Mhm.
have some new individuals that have joined that are uh, super, like one is just out of high school, that
Yeah.
decided that they didn't want to go to college. And I think that it's something to evaluate. Like why does someone have to go to
Right.
college? This person has been focusing on certifications and really learning things related to development and stuff like that. So I think sometimes it's good to reevaluate sometimes the things that we expect, and really evaluate, can this be possible? Does this
Right.
person really need? And the thing is that the two people this person works with, they didn't go to college.
Right.
And so it's just a really great testament, because both of them do an amazing job.
Right.
So yeah.
That's been hard for me with this journey with Oscar, I have to tell you. I mean, it was hard for me to homeschool our kids. I am more of a traditional person, despite the bald head and the head tattoo, than I look like, So I was like, you gotta go to college, like that is a must. And
Yeah.
Jenna and Oscar have been pushing back on me for years, And I look at our kids and I'm like, God, you're so bright, you're so smart and you work so hard. You could do so much. And they're like, don't worry about it. I'm going to do it a shit ton,
Yeah.
Mom. I'm going to, but like, I don't have to go this prescribed route to get there. That doesn't mean that college may not be in my future. That doesn't, whatever,
Yeah.
so that is, I think, a really cool aspect of who we are at Full Sail Partners, where
Yeah.
we are very willing to overlook things like that. Like it's about your abilities and your skills outside of an education.
Yeah. Well, I want to be mindful for you to be able to get on to your
Yes.
next meeting. I want to end things with Renee's comment of loving the shooting the shit. And so let us know, like, should we start to incorporate this like every, I don't know, every 10
Like
episodes or
quarterly or yeah.
something like
Yes.
that. So I'm
Mhm.
curious to see what you guys thought. And Bruce said, oops, find the best path for you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that.
about related to the college stuff. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, well, I just wanted to thank everyone today for joining us, and hopefully you liked shooting the shit, and let us know if you want us to continue to include that a part of our repertoire. I think sometimes you just got to get some shit off your shoulders, and to
Yeah.
talk through some things. And I think that it helps people to realize that people are dealing with stuff, and you got to work it out. And so, Leslie said, "Love it. Have a great weekend." And
You
Bruce said,
guys
"Do it
too.
every quarter at least." So there's some feedback already.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all the love,
Yeah.
and all the well wishes, and for being here. And we hope you learned something, or saw a different side of us, and were able to take something away. Renee, thank you. It's been such an amazing experience having you be such an awesome fan for us.
Yeah.
And let this fuel your Friday, right? Like, fuel your Friday. You guys earned it. We've all worked our butts off all week. We're going into this weekend, guns a-blazing.
That's right. So
Mhm. Yes.
all right. Well, everybody have a lovely weekend, and we will see you again next week.
Next
And we're
week.
going to be talking about actually, we have Rochelle that we're going to be having. So we have a guest speaker next week. And so it
Awesome.
is recorded, but oh, no. Sorry, I'm wrong. We're going to be talking with you, right?
Are
Yes.
we? Oh, yes. And we're
Yes.
doing, okay.
Yep.
Sorry, guys. So we
I
are
got
doing,
confused.
yeah. So Sarah's going to interview me
Mm-hmm.
next week
Yeah.
about persuasiveness and
Yes.
listening.
Yep.
Yes.
Cate is super amazing at just a great listener and very good at persuasive, but you don't even realize she's persuading you. And so we thought that we would talk about that next week. So I'm looking
Yes.
forward to that.
And then we have so many more guests lined
We
up. We've
do.
already interviewed some of them, as you just heard.
Yeah.
Rochelle Moulton is coming. She's awesome. We've got some more people
Yep.
coming on.
Jesse
So
from the No BS tribe is going to be joining us on the 7th.
yes.
And so we're going to be talking about mistakes and missteps and learning from those. And
Yes.
so we have a lot of good stuff. And then we have manifesting that we're going to have coming up that we're going to talk about as well. So
Yes. And Oscar would like to join us some point in the future. He wants to settle in a little bit, but maybe
sure.
later this summer, he would love to be interviewed.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, guys. Yeah.
Thank you,
Love you
everyone.
all. Thank you.
Bye.
Be